When I say you, I'm talking to you YouTube video makers. And the truth of the matter is, we all need lenses, correct? A zoom lens or a prime. I think we tend to start with a zoom lens, at least I did, because I think it's mandatory. The famous 16-35. I remember I had to sell a kidney to get this one. But what is the next lens you want to invest in? Is it another zoom, like a telephoto, or is it a prime?
If it's a prime,
Hey man!
which prime is it?
Yo! What are you doing, man?
Man, I just wanted to feel...
Man, these are my lines, man. This is my time.
I know, but
come on, man.
Okay.
Please, come on. Get out of the car.
Yo.
What's going on here, man? This guy using my voice and everything, bro. What the hell? So where were we? Why do you want a prime? For a cinematic look? We're thinking shadow depth of field? How open? 1.8? 1.4? Or even hell, 1.2? The wider the aperture, the more expensive it gets, right? I'm talking roughly 2,000 euros for each lens. What if I was to tell you, you can have 3 primes for about just 1,000 euros? You'd like that, don't you? Well, let's get out of this intense scene because this suspense is killing me. What is happening, everybody? It's your boy Sean Alami, and I hope whatever you are, you're doing fantastic. Today, I'm here to talk to you about a set of lenses with 3 different focal lengths that are as fast as Usain Bolt. Now, I'm talking f1.2, and everything you saw at the beginning of this video was shot using these lenses. Now, I have a good idea that you probably have heard about these lenses before, but you haven't heard me talk about it. And you're like, who is you? Well, I'm nobody but just an up-and-coming YouTuber who's trying to save some money on some lenses. You know, a lens perhaps where I could shoot my talking head in my small studio, which is this one being filmed right now, and one that I could shoot some beautiful B-rolls with it, and another one where I could get real nice and close to my subjects with a beautiful bokeh in the background. All E-mounts, autofocus, f1.2, and all of them cost half as much as what a prime from Sony G-Master f1.4 would cost. I'm talking about the Sirui Sniper Autofocus APS-C lenses from Sony. Now, I know hearing the word APS-C would make some of you full frame shooters look the other way, but I shoot full frame as well. And when I heard the words E-mount, f1.2, and autofocus, I was pretty much sold. And I knew about these lenses for a few months now, and I was kind of reviewing them, and they were kind of slowly making their way up at the top of my shopping list. And it's funny, around the same time, Sirui reached out to me and they sent me a list of lenses to review, and these bad boys just happened to be on that list. And I was like, hey, sign me up. So they sent it out to me, and I put these lenses through some different tests, and I gotta say, all in all, I'm pretty impressed. I mean, all of that for just around 1,000 euros. Come on, you can't go wrong. Now let's talk about what focal length is used for what, shall we? They come in 3 different focal lengths, like I mentioned before, 23, 33, and 56 millimeter. If your camera is APS-C, then those will be your focal lengths. But if you shoot full frame, your focal lengths are gonna be 35 for the 23 millimeter, 50 millimeter for the 33, and 85 for the 56 when you crop your sensor. So for many cameras, which is the Sony a7S III in my case, the crop sensor will get rid of the vignette. But me personally, I didn't get rid of the vignette 100%, so I would crop in just to 1.1, and I would see just a little bit of tiny vignette, but I'm personally okay with it. It allows me to have a wider focal length, and that's just a taste preference. Now the 35 is your go-to lens for getting those cinematic shots, and this is your most versatile focal length where you can shoot wide shots, but you can still pull off some nice close-ups if you want it with the same lens. Now I'm using a 23 millimeter on my Sony a7S III, and I had to crop it in a little bit. And once you do that, you lose the eye detecting autofocus capability. So whatever here is center here, it will focus on that. So if I was to keep my hand here, you know, or if I was to keep this lens here, it doesn't have that kind of option that will keep the focus on the eyes, which is in a way kind of nice because you always see on YouTube people holding up products and the cameras is still focused on the face, but this doesn't do that. But I mean, it gets the job done. I have that lens and I have these two lenses still to use it. Now the 33mm APS-C 50 in full frame is the most natural looking focal length with the low amount of perspective distortion. A much blurrier background compared to the 35. Now when I say 35 and 50, I'm talking about with crop sensors. Remember that. To be honest with you, the Sony 50mm 1.2 was one of my favorite lenses of all time. I know a lot of people didn't like it. I just loved the way it looked, and I had rented it and I used it a few times. But to be honest with you, I was really not gonna spend around 2,200 euros for that lens. But now I have something very similar for about 300 something euros, f1.2. I can shoot pictures with it and I can get almost pretty much, I would say, the 90% or 95% of what that lens would have produced. And I have it here right now, so I'm not complaining. And the mighty 56mm 85 in full frame is legit a portrait lens. And the portrait lenses flatten the perspective of objects. It's a telephoto lens, making the backgrounds much less relevant. The depth of fields are much shallower, and it shifts the focus on our object. Now, so far so good, right? Let's talk about the known flaw that these lenses have, and Sirui actually informed me about this issue, is that they get this kind of weird flare into them. And you see it a lot more when it's dark and when you have lights around. And at nighttime when we were shooting the car scenes, the lights weren't necessarily pointing at the camera, but it was just glaring this weird flare at some points. But I mean, you can always get away with it. For example, in this shot, I was using the car frame to kind of block it to come in. But I'm not gonna lie, it can get annoying at some points, and it kind of messes with your whole autofocusing system. Now, I had upgraded these lenses before I went out for the shoot. Apparently, the 56mm had some autofocusing problem, and it fixed that because during the day, when I was going back and forth, there was no autofocusing problem, even with the 56mm. And the problem is when you crop the Sony A7S III, it loses that eye focus thing, so you're gonna have to keep everything in the center. But all in all, you gotta put all these options on a scale and see which one kind of weighs the other one out. And for me, for the price tag and 3 different focal lengths, f1.2 autofocus E-mount, I'm gonna take this deal, to be honest with you. I would choose this rather than spending twice as much and having just one prime and having no flare. I mean, I can get away with the flare. I'll live with the flare is what I'm saying. So this is my true and honest review on these lenses. I hope you found this video useful. Let me know what you think. Let me know your thoughts on these lenses if you had experience using them. Until we see each other next time, stay safe.